I just know that from players' perspectives, Abbasid isn't rated as highly as other civilizations. But here we go in our first game of this set. Beasty versus 1puppypaw, the Canadian versus the Serbian. And yeah, we're going to be starting this game off on Dry Arabia.
Yeah, spawning in on the left side is Beasty Cutie. Well, no longer Cutie in his name, just in his personality. It's Beasty in the yellow Rus, and to the right side, it's going to be 1puppypaw with the Abbasids in blue. We talked in the pregame about this one. For 1puppypaw, this is a matter of securing his position in the top 8 in the playoffs. And for Beasty, it's more about, okay, can he secure one of those top 2 positions that would just advance him in the playoffs a lot more once we are done with the 5 play days. Marine Lord has a firm lead over the leaderboards right now, but with a win here, Beasty wouldn't be far to challenge that. He's actually just losing out on the tiebreaker criteria, which is games won or lost.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, it definitely means more for one player than it means for the other here in the set. And I mean, 1puppypaw opening up here with the Bassett against the Rus, and he only went for a single scout now. So, I mean, when it comes to Bounty, I think Beasty is going to be in a good spot to collect a lot of it, judging by how 1puppypaw... I'm not sure. Has he gotten one of the deer packs yet?
Well, let's take
some
a look.
sheep there.
Yep.
He killed one deer spot, probably hasn't killed the other one yet. He's ignoring the wolves for now. He knows that there are more important things going on, but it looks like Beasty, he's zooming towards that second deer patch from 1puppypaw. Actually, takes a short break, goes for the wolf first. This might buy 1puppypaw enough time in order to catch up and be able to defend his deer from being taken. Oh.
Beasty opted to go with the wheelbarrow here, so he's looking pretty good on the gold department. What is that already? Has to be in like the 200s. He's getting wheelbarrow, plus he's got 110 in the bank.
I mean, some is probably generated through the hunting cabin, so he's probably sitting at like roughly below 200 right now. A little bit below 200, but he is going to be starting. Yeah, they're both contesting the deer from 1puppypaw now, and 1puppypaw is opting for an early military wing here now. Interesting. I wonder if he's going to try to play this similarly to how he played it against the first set in which we saw him today.
Yeah, Beasty was waiting for 1puppypaw to do something with that scout over there, but Puppy refused to do so. And Beasty's getting a lot of bounty out of this one. Managed to get, like, I think 4 out of the 7 deer here, which is pretty admirable if you consider that he's yet to take his own deer as well. Will easily get to, what is that, 300-ish bounty by the end of this Dark Age?
Yeah, could be. I mean, that's kind of what you enable, right? When you only go for that single scout opening against the Rus. And I mean, also with the spawn, there's 2 wolves here, right next to the deer that Beasty is killing here right now. So yeah, I think Beasty is probably gonna have a game that's similar to what Lucifron had earlier, where he's gonna be pushing past 300 bounty here. I'm personally guessing he's gonna very likely end up at like 380 bounty. I'm gonna say spot on 380 bounty.
You mean 380 bounty, right?
Yeah, with a U and with an I in the end.
All right. Looking pretty good for Beasty indeed. He managed to get quite a few wolves. He has gotten quite a bit from the opponent's hunt as well. Let's take a look at the bounty. I agree, 350 was my guess, but it looks like it's only 280. It seemed a lot more for Beasty, actually.
He's still killing 1 wolf, and there were still 2 wolves in the middle, but it looks like he's not going for them. It looks like 1puppypaw is killing the wolves in the middle. So it might more be like a 300 bounty game in the end here. Yeah, 1puppypaw is going to be able to kill the 2 wolves there in the middle. That would have probably put Beasty right up to that 350 to 380 mark, and now he's not going to be getting them. So at least not he's going to be able to deny some of the hunt here. Now the Kremlin is going to be out. 1puppypaw is going to have 4 units out on the field. Is he going to get a lot of value out of them? Because Beasty, he's already collected pretty much all the stone from his stone mine that he needs in order to build his second TC. And the Kremlin is also in a position where Beasty can drop a safe second TC next to his steer that's also protected by the Kremlin.
Well, 1puppypaw is playing aggressive over here. He's got 2 archers, 2 spearmen out here, so he's going to try and kind of direct the positioning of Beasty's TC. might even make it difficult for him to get it up in time, because one thing that Beasty doesn't really have right now is wood. He's sitting on 6 wood in the bank right now, and those archers and spearmen are kind of lurking nearby, so looks like 1puppypaw will have a faster second TC timing, comes in at a pretty obvious spot, likely on the hunt on the stone. Actually, he's gonna go for the berries.
Yeah, such a forward position also indirectly secures the hunt, and he's getting the berries for it. It's a little bit of a greedy play, but if it works out well for him, then yeah, if it doesn't get punished by Beasty, it's gonna be a really good TC spot for him.
Yeah, it also secures the back of this wood line, as you said. Passively, it also secures the hunt, gives a little bit more line of sight. And the thing I love about this is that he's got spearmen and he's got some archers on the field. So he's not gonna get surprised by the militias coming from Beasty. This is, as you said, a greedy town center, but with the presence he has from these few spearmen and archers, he can easily secure this, and he knows it will finish.
Yeah, exactly. So overall, 1puppypaw right now sitting in a good spot. Though the thing is, what I personally feel like with the Abbasid, when you play with any civilization in the game, the ideal TC count that you have is going to be n+1. So n being the amount of TCs that your opponent has. So if Beasty has 2 TCs, Abbasid wants to have 3 TCs. If the Rus have 3 TCs, then you want to have 4 TCs. Right now, it doesn't look like 1puppypaw is going for his 3rd TC. So, I mean, also with the military wing, this might just be a really aggressive approach here from him.
It's funny you say this n+1 approach, as we do have the boar being lured here. Beasty has to be cautious of the villagers, but he does have his own scout nearby, so he will be able to just lure that away. But here come the archers and the spears. If 1puppypaw is able to buy some time over here with that boar, the spear and archer group might arrive here. First Knight is just now coming out, militias will be popped by Beasty as well. And it looks like Beasty is just going to buy enough time with that scout luring away the boar. Here come the spearman. Boar is still in play, though. Beasty needs to be cautious with this second TC. He's gonna have to flee. Boar and the spearman, supported by the archers, will push the villagers away. Oh boy. It's getting a little dicey here.
And indeed, it's going to get dicey. Now, militias are going to be arriving to the party here. Scout might get picked off by them, actually. The militia are really fast of a unit, so they might actually be able to take down these archers. It's really tough for the archers to get away from them. Militia move at like 1.4 tiles per second movement speed. I mean, 1puppypaw, he managed to kill a single villager here, but that TC is probably going to go up, but still, at the end of the day, a lot of delay has been caused here by 1puppypaw. This TC only going up at like past 8 minutes, that's a huge delay right now.
That's a lot of delay indeed, a lot of idle time on these villagers too. And don't forget, behind this, 1puppypaw has had his TC going for a while. In fact, he's working towards a 3rd TC at this pace, and his 3rd TC won't be that much later than the 2nd TC finishes for Beasty. So, as you said, this board, the archers and the spearmen, they just cause so much delay here for Beasty.
Yeah, this is where that n+1 play is going to be coming from. But now Beasty is once again on the stone, and it looks like it's gonna be a 3 TC. Actually, now he's gonna go for the boar. Is he gonna? Oh, a little bit of a miss micro there. 1 villager going down.
2nd villager going down.
2 villager going down.
Ah, things are going bad. A 3rd one will not get picked off by the board.
Will live.
But still, when you're on the back foot to a certain extent, that just hurts. He's down by 9 villagers already.
Yeah, I'm not sure about you, but it looks like 1puppypaw killed 3 villagers here. I mean, the
no.
stats say 3 villager kill. Yeah, I know it's gonna be the boar.
That's
but
actually like 2 of that is accounted to the boar.
Yeah, but let's just say, I mean, the boar in this time, it was a secret agent, right?
Well, initially when it was close to the DC, for sure it was. Maybe 1puppypaw just used mind control, just said, "Okay, go out there, kill vills." That's exactly what it did, and it caused so much headache for Beasty.
Ooh, I mean, Beasty, he is still active with his knight, so he managed to kill 2 villagers with a single knight here. Also able to delay or deny the walls even to the top side of 1puppypaw's base. Doing a good job here with just annoying and distracting 1puppypaw quite a bit, and might actually get kill number 3. Nope, gets taken down. Villager survives with 2 HP remaining. That's a lucky one. Probably missing an arm and a leg by now.
Yeah, at least he cut into the deficit a tiny bit, but walls are now coming up. It's going to get more and more difficult for these knights to do damage. A move actually makes them attack the walls, but they do find a nice charge on these archers. Not a single spearman nearby here for 1puppypaw. Puppy tried his best to snipe down the scout, deprive Beasty of vision, but that's not going to happen. Puppy is going to have to rally his horsemen to the north, but once the walls go up, he's going to be well secured. He kind of stopped mining stone though, so that 30C never became a reality, it seems, for Puppy.
Yeah, definitely will have to go on stone once again if he wants that 30C to become a thing. Not sure what else he could have gone onto stone for right now. I don't think he's got any outposts with emplacements out on the map right now. And now Beasty, he knows where the army is right now from 1puppypaw, so he's gonna move just the opposite way with his army. And 1puppypaw's army, I was about to say is out of position, but it looks like this is just a raiding force right now. Doesn't have a scout with them, but it's still a very potent force with which he's definitely going to be able to get some damage in if he finds the right target.
For sure, and I love how he's walled back at home. He knows he's playing from a point of advantage, so he just wants to make sure Beasty doesn't surprise him with a bunch of knights and kills a bunch of vills. As I'm saying, that one knight gets trapped around the vills over here. Archers, they do have to help out a tiny bit here for the villagers, but in the end, the knight gets taken down. Beasty managed to get a couple of picks though, and now he's down by just 4. And with the archers creeping up on this wood line, out of nowhere, Beasty's catching up on the villager department, might even have a line of sight on those lumberjacks. 1puppypaw's got a lot of archers, but they're nowhere to be found in this battle.
Yeah, and he's definitely going to need way more archers if he wants to take down these knights. And the horsemen from him have been discovered and aren't now getting repelled by the militia. Military blacksmith upgrades right now. 1puppypaw is missing the +1 range defense upgrade, which Beasty already has. Archers do a good bit of damage there on the knights, but it's just the critical mass isn't quite there yet.
Yeah, Beasty wants to go for siege engineering though. He feels like he's got momentum here, and he's not totally wrong. Archer numbers are actually better for 1puppypaw, but he's got the knights, and Puppy doesn't have a single spearman to deal with those right now. So, as Core is pointing out, 9 knights, 3 more in queue. That kind of gives you the motivation and the momentum that you need to make a rampush happen.
Yeah, I mean, 1puppypaw, he does have the army numbers, and I mean, it kind of feels like he's macroing up to Castle Age now behind this. I feel like he's really confident in maybe the play with the with the composite bow and the veterancy on the archers, but once he gets up to the next age, there's going to be quite the timing window in which Beasty can rip him to shreds with the knights that he has out on the field right now, unless 1puppypaw adds some spearmen in here sometime soon. Now Culture Wing is getting pressed. So Age-Up is now on the line for 1puppypaw. Could send maybe a single villager just to repair that one hole in this wall.
Yeah.
Beasty did pull his militia, so now there's 8 militia on the field. Not achieving too much here right now.
Yeah, he needs to make a push happen at the very latest when that Culture Ring finishes. He's going to try and poke around those lumberjacks. Looks like he's diving in. Both of the forests that 1puppypaw has are on the front. And that's critical. And look at this. One knight runs past the House of Wisdom. He will find the Culture Wing being under construction. This one knight is giving Beasty the information he needs, and he's going to dive in. Militias have just expired, and that's a huge amount of archers in a very narrow choke point. Beautiful position to stay in for 1puppypaw. He doesn't have any spearmen. He only has 6 horsemen left in here, but he's got a lot of archers. Culture Wing, 40 seconds away from finishing. Beasty is now diving into the base here, but he kind of has his army trapped in here. Kind of lures out the archers to open field, though, making best use of those knights. Still, not a single spearman in the mix here for 1puppypaw. Horsemen also not on this playing field, as they kind of have to deal with these knights breaking into the berry patch. Beasty slowly losing the knights, though.
Yeah, Beasty's doing a really good job here at just harassing singled out villagers every single time that he's engaging as well. Now he is losing a couple of knights every now and then. Now the reinforcements are coming in. puppypaw is trying his best to micro back the archers, and now the age
too
up
late.
completes.
It's too late now. puppypaw has been losing villagers behind this one. Knights are still intact, and Beasty is going to dive. He knows he needs to. He's got the numbers advantage, 31 archers to 19 villagers still being slain by the Knight. Now half of the eco from puppypaw is idle. Veterancy on the archers are coming in, but it's just going to arrive too late here at this point. But Beasty has done a terrific amount of damage here. He's going to disengage. He's going to start going up to Castle Age. Knight's archers also pushing the villagers on the north. puppypaw has lost 28 villagers in the last few minutes.
Yeah, and the high trade house now coming in from Beasty as well. And I feel like as soon as that age up completes, puppypaw will realize that now he's in a world of hurt. As not only did he lose his entire military, or like the majority of his military, but he's also going to be on an even tech playing field than Beasty is. And yeah, it's just, it all comes down to that one hole in the wall there.
Yeah,
If
just
puppypaw
opened
had
up.
just pulled a single villager there just to repair it at any one point in time, this wouldn't have happened.
I feel like especially the second wave, the reinforcements, when they arrived. The first wave, Puppy held pretty well, but then 15 more archers show up, and as you said, that hole just allowed Beasty to enter the base right away. Now Beasty's up to Castle Age, he's playing from a 20 villager advantage. He lost most of his knights, but he's got competitive archer numbers. puppypaw also having limited amount of resources to work with. Most of the forests are on the front. I think he pretty much depleted the food inside his base, so it's gonna be very difficult for him to keep pace with Beasty at this point.
And it feels like every now and then, like puppypaw, he's not looking where he needs to look. Every now and then when Beasty just goes for these engagements, puppypaw, he just doesn't have vision on these units. And yeah, it kind of falls in place with just him not having like vision on the army movement from Beasty. He gets caught unaware every so often, and it really goes to show, like, he lost so many villagers because of that, because he just wasn't aware of where Beasty's military was at any one point in time. This is where just scouting in the later stages becomes so important, and now once again Beasty's sending units out to those steers.
Yeah, it's also how Beasty always detached 1 or 2 knights to just hit the villagers. Battle is going on, he detaches 1 knight, and by the end of the battle, you do have minus 10 villagers. Now some counterattacks happening here by puppypaw, but Beasty once again diving in. This tower is insufficient to garrison so many vills. puppypaw at least has the archers to back this up with, so Beasty's gonna have to bail on this. But this also means that you're pulling all those slow-moving archers to the north. I would not be shocked if Beasty kind of dove in with those archers. In fact, you see on the minimap, archers are now creeping up, getting closer and closer to those lumberjacks.
Yeah, I think Beasty might just be joining up with his main army and then just going for a push there. He knows that he did so much damage to the economy that his army is probably equal, if not greater. And considering the nightmares that he has, he should be in a good position to take this fight now.
Yeah, indeed, here it comes. Knights will charge in. He's got the numbers advantage on the knight department. Archers also coming in. I don't think that puppypaw has composite bows in here, so this is going to just be favoring Beasty at this point. He's going to dive underneath the tower. A lot of villagers are heavily damaged under the tower as well. Will get caught in the crossfire. And as puppypaw and Beasty are trading army, once again, villagers will just be at the worst possible position for Puppy. And Beasty will just say, okay, I don't want your army. I want your villagers. He will just continue diving for the vills, and as the villagers fled, the archers will get cleaned up. Beasty has now killed 37 villagers in this game, has a decisive lead, and is about to clean up the entire army of puppypaw as well.
Yeah, this is really rough, and during this entire time as well, during this exchange, Beasty also had superior blacksmith upgrades. puppypaw only just now got his +2 damage upgrade in, and now he knows puppypaw calls the GG. Beasty takes the first game in this best of 3.
Yeah, what a game by Beasty. It started out well for puppypaw, but then the timing attack just worked wonders, and if we see the timelines, especially for the villager count, you will see how Beasty was able to just cut into that, And frankly, if we compare the military chart to this chart, what you will find is that the drop with the villager count beyond 1442, like at the 15-minute mark, happened at the same time as the army drop happened for puppypaw. This wasn't like, okay, Beasty swoops in, kills a bunch of villagers with the entire army. This was more of a case where Beasty took a fight, and as puppypaw was focusing on that fight, as he was microing it, he also had a bunch of villagers massacred by these small groups of forces that Beasty detached from the main army.
Yeah, exactly. It's not just a case of losing some villagers to raid. It's also a case of like your entire base being exposed at that point in time. It all just came down to puppypaw not being able to delay that big battle that was going to be happening as soon as he aged up. If puppypaw was able to delay that battle by a minute, his upgrades would have been able to come in. He would have been able to take a very much favorable engagement for himself there. But yeah, this one definitely didn't work out too well for him. Beasty takes a decisive win here in this first game in the set.
And with that, he's going to have a match point here in this best of 3 as well. Out of the 8 sets that he has played, he has actually won 7 of them. This places him in the 2nd position on the leaderboard. He has won 14 games so far, with this 15 now, lost 4 in total, so he's looking like one of the candidates to make it into that top 2 position. Obviously, right now Marine Lord is leading the pack with still an undefeated record when it comes to the sets played, but Beasty, he's trying to keep pace with him. Whereas for puppypaw, obviously we still have a lot to go. We still have 2 more complete play days, but he needs to be cautious because if he loses here, he gets knocked out of the top 8, and there are a lot of good players that are competing for that top 8. More than 8 players and only 8 spots, so he needs to be cautious because the competition for those last couple of spots will be very intense.
Yeah, I think puppypaw, even if he might feel like he won't be able to beat Beasty in a straight up set, he should aim for at least a 2-1 here. And it's going to be really important. Like every single map that you win matters when it comes to the points on the ladder, on the standings. And right now, this is going to be an interesting game. So it's going to be Achery on Wetlands against the English. Wetlands is a very, very interesting map. And I'm a little bit surprised that we're going to be seeing Achery here because Wetlands is so decentralized with its food resources that usually we don't see a civilization like Achery on there just because they can't make efficient use of the Archon early on. So potentially I'm asking myself, wait, never mind. I for a second I asked myself if BC might be looking for a Minework Palace. If there's any person that's never going to be making a Minework Palace in their lives, it's going to be Beasty.
I still remember the quote when Beasty said he would rather place an Arcane Chapel in the middle of an empty field than to place a Minework Palace. I think he kind of stands by that statement still.
Yeah, I would imagine he does. And it's very likely still going to be an Archon. The placement's going to be interesting, though. I mean, with the way wetland spawns might be next to a pond, and there aren't too many sheep. Sometimes you get like lucky and you get a pond next to deer, next to a woodline. That would probably be the best Archon that you can get on this map. But that tends to be in locations that are really, really easily punishable, especially by a civilization like the English. And if we see an early push from the English with spearmen and longbows, that could become really ugly for Beasty to hold off.
Indeed. Now, looking at the draft, there's a bit of a, I guess, mismatch with the data. You see at the top of the draft, the civilizations, Malians are shown. That's actually supposed to be a ban, so it should be crossed out. That's not something that has happened. So make no mistake, folks. It's not like Malians are available for both. Malians have been banned by both players. So if we go to game number 3, that would actually be on the pit, which is Beasty's home map. He actually chose to play Puppy's home map over here, Wetlands, and they would have the Chinese and Delhi available against the civilizations I did not get to see for puppypaw as we jump into this game. Once again, it is Beasty with the color yellow spawning in on the right side. Puppypaw will be on the left in blue. Don't get deceived by the score at the top, folks. That's actually flipped right now. Beasty currently has the 1-0 lead, as we do have a barracks opening straight away from Puppy.
Yeah, that's going to be an interesting play here. Starting off with the barracks from the English. I mean, HRE, they usually don't mind it if the English player is starting off with early men-at-arms, because they get their prelate. They can just move that prelate onto the resource that the men-at-arm is going to try and punish, and they can relatively efficiently out-heal that one man-at-arm. And now also what BC is going for himself, he has safe gold access. Okay. He's going out to deer early on. Now I like the men-at-arm play even more. That's going to be quite nice here. Yeah, so men-at-arms now crossing the map here. Something that I do want to note, because we just talked about it earlier with the with the bracket, with the Civ drafts being a little bit weird, where we saw that apparently, even though Malians were banned by both players, Malians appeared to be available for both players. I think that would be the rarest matchup that we would ever see, would be a Malian mirror in the Elite Classic, just because it's not theoretically possible.
Yeah, like that's even if it was possible, you feel like with the power that Malians have in the current meta, you would just never have a matchup where both players say, oh yeah, I will allow you to play with the Malians. It's always got to be like at least one of the players saying, yeah, I won't let you play with that.
That would be the rarest Pokemon cards of matchups. And now we see the Man-at-Arm coming in here onto the food from Beasty, and he is going to be focusing that Prelude. Prelude is just going to be running around here, giving the Man-at-Arm the run around, and I mean, every now and then the Prelude, once he sees, okay, he's not chasing me anymore, he's just going to go back to that villager, heal him back up. But once again, Prelude is going to be focused and takes a good chunk of damage here. Villager also low-ish HP. Just the back and forth here between these two players. But, I mean, this is causing a lot of idle time here right now on the economy from Beasty, having to move that Prelude away. And 1puppypaw is actually sending a second Man-at-Arm now, so he's definitely going to be able to force all the villagers from Beasty away from the deer. Now, all of these villagers here are no longer inspired by the Prelude, and now 1puppypaw is going to be able to actually burn down that mill, and minus 50 resources from that mill for H3 can actually be pretty huge early on in the game.
Yeah, that's good value for Puppy there. Beasty did a terrific job just dancing around as much as he could, but with the Prelude being so heavily damaged, he just had to bail. But as you said, this kind of meant that those villagers weren't buffed for a long, long time, and now that Akanchapel is coming in, there are some berries to the right side that Beasty needs to divert his attention towards. You see, the TC's range is kind of covering the villagers here, so the Men-at-Arms can't really dive. But still, oh, Beasty needs to be cautious with that scout, getting awfully close, uncomfortably close to that DC.
Yeah, now, I mean, looking at the woodlines here, Beasty is going to be in a really, really rough position if this gets to once this gets to feudal age, and 1puppypaw is now going to be aging up with the council hall. It's got 4 villagers on that. And Longbows, looking at the woodlines, they can pretty much easily reach every single woodline that Beasty has access to.
Indeed, Akanchapel coming in with 4 vills. Beast is just forced to use the straggler trees for the time being. And as you said, once the longbows come in, it's going to be painful for Beasty. I feel like the more worrisome detail could be access to food. You see, under his TC, he has a limited amount of sheep to work with. There's a pond to the right side with shorefish, a couple of berries also available. But once the longbowmen arrive, it might be challenging for Beasty to maintain control over those.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, this is the point, right? This is why you play English. You play English for that like constrictive kind of gameplay where you try to harass resources, deny resources with the superior longbowman range. And now we see Stable being dropped here by Beasty, but this is awkward because 1puppypaw, he already has his barracks out. So he's going to be able to make Spearman right off the bat as soon as he hits the fuel age. Also, the Men-at-Arms that he has out right now on the field, already really strong against Horsemen.
Yeah, they have a lot of melee armor, right? So those Horsemen, it's not like the damage bonus is massive by the Man-at-Arms against Horsemen. In fact, they have none. It's more about the fact that the Horsemen take a lot of time to kill these Men-at-Arms.
Yeah, exactly, and vice versa as well. I mean, Men-at-Arms, they don't have the greatest damage output against Horsemen, and yeah, it just takes long for both of these to finish each other off. And yeah, now we do see 1puppypaw with the Spearman, with the Longbows, and Beasty, he is making the best of what he has access to. He does have access to wood under his Archon, so Archers it is, what he's going for. Might be a little bit uncomfortable for him in a little bit of time once he runs out of these sheep that he has. He's going to have to go out to outer resources. But it looks like he's already transitioning into farms at this point in time. So he's going for archers while going for a farm transition at the same time. That's very, very costly for him.
Yeah, it's heavy on the wood department for sure. He's got the Akanchapel boosting the lumberjacks. What would be lovely to see is him actually moving to that eastern pond with the shorefish. Not the one that we see right now, but the one to the east of the Aachen Chapel. Right now,
Yeah.
it's pretty safe, and that would be a huge boost to his food income. Shore fishing with the Aachen Chapel boost is an enormous influx of food, and there it is indeed. He's just going to grab the shorefish real quickly. Ooh, nice little raid in here. Spearman there to defend, but you see Beasty's walling up back at home. He's walling to the north, he's walling to the south. And for the time being, he's going to play around the defense with archers. Also, will start poking around with the horsemen, see if he can find some damage. Puppy's also going to play a fairly heavily walled scenario, though. So you really feel like both players are digging trenches, and we could soon turn into that eco-war scenario instead of just army production.
Yeah, both players now getting wheelbarrow at the exact same time here. I mean, with the way the map works, your villagers are going to have to travel a lot in between these different resources that you have access to. So getting wheelbarrow early on a map like this is super, super important. Can't state that enough. 15% movement speed on your villagers matters a lot on maps like these. And it also helps a lot with the fishing here, because there's always such a great distance between your mill and the shoreline fish. So it really does mean a lot. Now, puppypaw does have a good army out here right now. 4 spearmen, 8 longbows, more on the way. Beasty has similar numbers, 7 archers right now, more in the queue, and also some horsemen out on the field. In theory, puppypaw's army is a little bit better, but it all depends on how well he does with them. puppypaw actually getting the distillation upgrade right now for his stone or gold gathering. That's a little bit odd. Usually we see double broadaxe way before that. Maybe just... Is that a misclick? Specialized pick right now instead of double broadaxe? That doesn't make a lot of sense. Unless he's going for a Castle Age play behind this.
Yeah, I was thinking the same. If he wants to go to Castle Age, especially knowing that the HRE player might try to rush feud, or Castle rather, there might be a motivation for him to try and rush Castle himself. As Core is showing us, by the way, Beast has got a very nice looking base to the north, just a very long forest that kind of spans all across the map. There is a hole to the north, and that could be a weakness on Beasty's defense once it gets found, or if it gets found by Puppy. But that natural forest spawn just secures so much ground for Beasty right now.
In theory, I like the idea from puppypaw if he's going for fast Castle Age, especially if you go for Castle Age with the King's Palace. As soon as that Castle Age comes in, it's going to put your opponent on a timer, because you get that second TC in right away, and now we see Beasty going for raid, puppypaw pulling back in time. It's really helpful playing as the English, because you get these belts whenever your opponent is approaching. It's going to have to be careful now, though. Once again, Beasty, puppypaw's not reacting, loses a villager to it. Is going to potentially kill the scout, though. Once the scout goes down, that's going to help a lot. But now at the same time, Beasty's going to push from an opposite side. And I think the entire army from puppypaw is now out of position.
Yeah, it is. It certainly is. The scout gets picked off, depriving puppypaw of vision. And you see this little pond gets shut down, so are the farms. And with Beasty spotting how many gold miners Puppy had, he probably knows Puppy wanted to go to Castle Age. He will poke around the gold mine with the remaining horsemen, harass the villagers on the front, and behind this one, he's banking up resources for Castle Age himself. He's going to have a massive head start when it comes to going into Castle Age.
Yeah, and this is not where you want to be with the English. Far behind when it comes to the age up compared to the HRE, and yeah, more and more villagers are going to get picked off. BC just killed another villager here on these forward farms from puppypaw. And yeah, there's just a lot of delay that's happening right now. puppypaw's food income right now is terrible.
Yeah, he was very heavily focused on that shorefish, and that helped a lot initially. Now it's gone, and the archers are also posturing right next to it. Beasty charges in with the cavalry, supported by the archers. That's actually a massacre out there as Beasty is going up with the Ragnitz Cathedral. Most of the army here was gone from puppypaw. Maybe the horseman went a little overzealous running into the TC fire, but most of the spearmen have been gotten rid of. The longbows are heavily damaged, and the damage was done by Beasty. He's shutting down the food eco of Puppy, as you mentioned, and he himself is on the way to Castle Age.
Yeah, exactly. And this is going to be really rough now for puppypaw. It means that BC is going to have access to a lot of these relics pretty much uncontested, as he's got the army lead right now as well. And yeah, puppypaw is still going to take quite a while in order to get up now. It's going to take him like another minute at least. And ooh, the units are going to return. Oh, this is going to be even more delay for Puppy, and he can't really take much more delay here. He's investing more and more into army right now, just as Beasty aged up.
Yeah,
He's making more units.
You're right. That hunt is so needed right now for 1puppypaw, and he cannot access that. And while 1puppypaw is defending, Beasty has all the freedom to move out for the relics. Marching drills are coming in, and once we get to Castle Age, we could see knights from Beasty for continued raids. We could see more men-at-arms. And those guys, at one point, will reach the critical mass where they can just dive under that tower and once again shut down Puppy's food eco. Looks like Puppy is going to find a way towards Castle Age, but he's going to be on the back foot quite a bit here.
Yeah, he's going to need to really find a way back into this game. He's going to go up now with the King's Palace. Interesting position on it, because what does this King's Palace give him? A little bit of wood access and access to shorefish that's just about to run out. I'm not sure about this one. Not too sure about this one. I mean, I guess at least it's like partially map control, but it doesn't really secure anything that's too worthwhile. I think it's probably just because he had units there.
Yeah, first night out here.
Villagers there not to age up quickly.
Yeah, the King's Palace it's at a very dangerous spot. It's going to secure the front of the base as the horsemen swing in from the north. There is the second TC, so there is that for Puppy, but he's got no gold. So basically, he has no chance to get the premium units out. He's got no chance to get Castle Age upgrades in even. And his eco is just disastrously unbalanced. 0 wood per minute, 0 gold per minute. Whereas for Beasty, everything is on cruise control, so much so that it looks like he's looking for Imperial at this point with the Palace of Swabia.
I'm straining my eyes right now, but are there only 4 relics in total on this map? I see 1 more relic on the top side. Beasty's carrying 2. Yeah, there must be... No, actually, there's only 4 relics in total.
Yep, quite possible. Although...
Yep, that's wetlands.
Still, 4 out of 4 relics is something that Beasty's gotta be very happy about. He's going to head towards Imperial very soon, also maintaining pressure with a couple of those knights. Puppy's eco is slowly stabilizing. He managed to secure the flanks. He actually intercepts Beasty's scout as well. But by the time he stabilizes, Beasty's gonna have the villager printer going, and once again, it's gonna be that position where Beasty just is 1 step ahead compared to Puppy.
Yeah, and now he's getting another relic there. It's gonna be the 4th one. I mean, at least with there only being 4 relics on this map means that it's not as bad as it could have been for Beasty, but 1puppypaw, he does have that second TC, and he's only just even villagers, and now the Swabia is coming in, and that's GG, right? Like, look at that. Beasty is rushing it up with 27 villagers. He wants 1puppypaw to despair. He wants him to be like, see, my Palace of Swabia, you're doomed, and as soon as that comes up, I think that's a GG move. I know Salami likes to do that, where if he's in a favorable position and he just rushes up the landmark as soon as possible to make his opponent surrender. He did that once against me, didn't work out too well. But yeah, this is Palace of Swabia. It's gonna be completed now, and I feel like 1puppypaw, as soon as he sees that...
Do you want to see something funny? Let's take a look at the walls of Beasty on the north. Just for a brief moment. I'm just now realizing. It's not like it's a disaster, but... Welp.
Better safe than not safe. There might be a chop through.
Yep, yeah, I mean, I don't blame him. I'm just saying, well, it looks kind of funny, but it works, and truth be told, those walls are securing so much ground for him. That's why that Imperial Age is even more so viable. It's not like he's going to run out of resources anytime soon. There's just so much at the back. Wood available. There is no gold back there, but still, a lot of ground, secure base, and you see Puppy just needs to make something happen. He needs to make a push.
Yeah, exactly. But now this is the point where Beasty, he's in the Imperial Age, and he knows how to hold with HRE now. He's going to make an outpost, he's going to get a cannon and placement on it, and as soon as there's a single cannon placement, it means that 1puppypaw, it's going to be pretty much impossible for him to push in, right? I mean, it's against the cannon placement with archers and spearmen. It's really tough, and that means that the Archon Chapel is going to be completely safe. More villagers get like pushed out from the printer right now, and yeah, it's not looking good right now. It's not looking pretty.
Not at all.
Firm villager lead now for Beasty, and even though PuppyPaw has a free second TC, Beasty has 3 free second TCs with his landmark.
Indeed, he's got the Villager Printer. He can get the Imp Eco upgrades as well, despite not even having the Castle Age ones just yet. But he's going to have Tithe Barns. He's going into Horsemen, actually, not even Knights. I actually love that choice, given the fact that if there is any resource that could possibly be at least partially denied from him, that would be gold. He's going to have the relics, but it's not like there's a lot of backup gold for him to work with. If he goes Horseman, there's just no way that PuppyPaw can do any significant thing to deny him from the resources he needs for army production. And as you said, at the front of his base, he's going to have these towers buffed by the relics with the bombardment placements. Just no angle from which PuppyPaw could push.
Yeah, the relics inside these outposts mean that it's going to be very, very hard to defeat them, and that's only going to be the second cannon placement. He's going to get another one on the opposite side, and with that, his base is going to be pretty much completely untouchable, and he's nearing that 100 villager mark, now being 14 villagers ahead in this game.
Yeah, it's just going to continue escalating. Now, PuppyPaw, he himself isn't far away from Imperial, and let's not forget, he's got a respectable resource income here, especially when it comes to food, thanks to the English farming. Still, it's gonna be a challenge to push into Beasty's base, but strictly speaking, if this game goes very long, the English late game is still something to respect. Big question is this game gonna go very long?
Yeah, that's the question indeed. I mean, for PuppyPaw to come back, he would need a Berkshire Palace, like right in the middle on the map, on that middle sacred side, where he's gonna have access to that really large gold mine there. It would give him a lot of map control, and we do see the Berkshire Palace. Where is it gonna be? It's gonna be towards the middle of the map. It's gonna be in his base, alright, so he's gonna be playing this defensively. Either this is gonna be a very drawn-out game, or if PuppyPaw plays this really well for the next 50 minutes, we're gonna be looking at a 3-hour game.
Is that good or is that bad?
I'll leave the interpretation up to everybody else. I don't want to interpret on that. Yeah, it's gonna be a thing. It could potentially be a thing. So yeah, we might have to strap in here for a long game potentially.
All right, I'll bring some food then, because this could be long indeed. I'm just joking. All right, so Puppy, given the circumstances, his reaction is as good as it gets. He's down by 25 vills, but he's going to have the English farming. With Imperial Age, he's going to have enclosures ready to go as well. Problem for him is that he's not only up against Beasty's late game, he's also up against 4 relics. So, especially if this game gets dragged out a lot, the importance of the relics having been secured by Beasty is just even more so amplified.
Yeah, Beasty's even getting, I think it's called Benediction. Is it Benediction in Age of Empires 4? Fertilization, Fortified? Devoutness, is it? Okay, so even more inspiration buff for his villagers that are around the Archon. Means that the income for Beasty is going to be absolutely insane, as he's now pushing out more and more farms around the Archon Chapel here.
He's also moving out towards the large gold pile here. We know how Beasty loves to play these late game scenarios. He wants to just strip the map barren of resources. If PuppyPaw isn't here, he's going to yoink this gold mine and then relocate elsewhere. In fact, he's securing this gold mine in the middle as well, and he just wants to take all the resources for himself so that he's well set up for a super late game scenario.
Yeah, now in theory, English don't mind as much because they can, like, Enclosures is about to finish, and then PuppyPaw is going to have a lot of passive gold income. But if you're playing against a player that already has like an income of 1700 gold per minute, who has 4 relics, all the 4 relics on the map, I mean, gold, you can only get so much gold through the farms, right? I think it's like when you get to like 100 villagers on farms, you only get like 1500, 1400 gold per minute. That doesn't substitute villagers on gold. You're not going to be able to suddenly push out units like hand cannoneers constantly.
No, not
especially
at all.
when you, yeah, especially when you make units like men-at-arms and yeah, just you want to get upgrades as well. It's gonna be really, really tough to push out those units. And now look at that, the Swabia. It's just printing out more and more villagers. Almost a 40 villager lead now for Beasty.
And as you said, enclosures by itself will be insufficient. It's right now about 1,000 gold per minute for puppypaw. Beasty's got double of that. Enclosures is a nice supplement, but it's going to be far from being sufficient to sustain the production of expensive units especially. And Beasty is going to have all the gold in the world to play around with very high quality troops, whether that's heavy cavalry, whether that's hand cannoneers, maybe a lot of siege. We know how he loves his siege in the late game. For now, he's just going to focus on pumping out even more villagers, and as we usually see from him, just secure all these neutral resources and yoink them while he can.
Yeah, now we see some siege workshops coming in as well, as you said. Gonna be seeing some of that CG, don't call him cutie, siege coming in. I mean, honestly, at this point in time, with the HRE economy, I feel like what BC can just do is just mass only men-at-arms and overrun puppypaw at any one point in time here.
He's facing a lot of men-at-arms too, but the power balance between these two men-at-arms is probably in the favor of the HRE. You have the heavy maces, 200 weapons. That's not something that the English extra armor can account for.
The English do have the bonus attack speed.
True.
But it's very close, actually. Very close in between these two. It comes down to mass, to critical mass, because whoever is able to surround the other men-at-arms more is going to be the one that ultimately wins these kind of engagements. I think English is probably the closest when it comes to competing with the HRE men-at-arms overall in the game. And it's also the longbows. The longbowmen being there means that there's going to be a lot of constant damage coming in regardless of pathing onto the men-at-arms from Beasty. But Beasty, he also still has the option of playing with Inspired Warriors. And once he gets like Inspired Warriors out, HRE army becomes incredibly strong. He's even deleting the units that he doesn't want in his composition right now. Just getting rid of some crossbows here. 150 villagers almost.
That's the classic Beasty way. Just go as many villagers as possible. Just keep as little army as possible. Make army when you want to fight. He doesn't want to fight right now. He's got the fortifications. Puppy is still confined in his base. So Beasty can get away with a huge amount of villagers and just... Look at this. He's even sending 2 prelates over here to yoink this stone mine. I would actually love to see him drop a couple of stables to that northern side, just so that he can start producing some cav there and maybe open up a second front. Because, as you mentioned, that attack boost or the network of citadels for the English is going to make it much more difficult for Beasty to push right here on the front line. So having a second front open would help Beasty a lot.
Yeah, I'm wondering if puppypaw has the upgrade network of citadels right now. Puppypaw, he has a lot of food in the bank. He could probably push out a ton more men-at-arms right now. Is lacking a little bit in the production, I imagine. And yeah, no network of citadels yet. And now armies clashing on each other. But men-at-arms from Beasty with the heavy maces and the two-handed upgrade as well are going to be pushing in. Puppypaw doesn't look to be taking this fight yet. Might be waiting for a cannon emplacement, but that cannon placement is going to be 1, 2, 3.
Oh, it's there.
Bombard's not focusing it yet. Yeah, it's going to be there, but there are 2 bombards right next to it.
Yeah, bombards were focusing the King's Palace, but as the tower has the bombard emplacement, it will just get focused down. Men-at-arms now trying to jump on the bombards over here. Beasty's going to have to pull them back. He managed to sneak through with a couple of units into the back line. But obviously, the Berkshire Palace just makes it very difficult for Beasty to push through directly. Might need to pull some villagers to repair those bombards, but that's a lot of hand cannoneers, men-at-arms rather, that are trying to push this. But there is boiling oil, there is the castle, and it looks like the villagers will be able to keep one of those bombards alive, not the second one. And that's a lot of men-at-arms sacrifice for those 2 bombards. I guess just 1 bombard at this point.
Yeah, but looking at the income right now and the resource banks for both players, I feel like we're actually getting to that point in time where now English is going to be somewhat able to stall this game out. 161 villagers for Beasty right now. The dude just doesn't know when to stop.
I think he's more than happy with this. This is just such a classic Beasty late game. Puppypaw, he has 100 villagers because he's still catching up. Beasty is 160 because he says, well, I don't need more army than 30 right now. And when the time comes, when Puppypaw starts getting ready to fight, Beasty will just delete 40 villagers and replace them with a huge army. You see, Beasty's banking up a lot of resources. 1puppypaw kind of does the same as well, but he can only do so with food. He's got limited access to wood and gold.
Beasty is gonna stop making villagers the second the map is gonna stop having resources on it. It seems to, and yeah, we definitely have seen this before from Beasty, and it does make great sense, right? I mean, you don't need to push in right now. You can literally just force your opponent into a situation where if this game actually goes to the late game, if there are no more resources on the map, and you've gathered like all the wood in the world, there's gonna be the point in time where your opponent just can't make anything anymore. I guess English is like the one exception where they can still like make crossbows, hand cannoneers, and men-at-arms, whatever. A little nice village dance going on there. Little ring around the rosy there.
Maybe a tornado at this point.
Yeah, this is a really rough position now to be for if you're 1puppypaw, because okay, you look at your resource bank, you're like, okay, maybe I've recovered, maybe I can come back from this. You look at Beasty's income, and he's at like 8,000 resources per minute, almost double the total income that 1puppypaw has.
Yeah, that's the big thing. Once these guys start battling it out, once you see both sides starting to lose units, Beasty's resource bank will allow him to sustain it a lot more. He's now diving in, but this is kind of just a skirmish at this point. Lost most of the man-at-arms to the longbows. But yeah, he look at that. In fact, I would dare to say that this was just kind of that suicide run into the crossbows because he wanted to replace all of them with knights.
Yeah, 33 knights in queue. Is this gonna be like the only knight build that we're gonna be seeing here? Oh man, look at that range from that keep with the relic inside.
Do we have stone walls in the north for Puppy, I guess? That's a big question. Because
there are so many layers. It's an onion up there.
Yeah, he's got stone walls. That's critical. Because I feel like, given how slow Puppy's army is, the easiest path into Puppy's base, or so I thought before seeing the stone walls, would have been a knight push from the north. But with the stone walls being there, Beasty won't be able to just stretch out the field easily with those knights without bringing some bombards to blast his way through those stone walls.
Bombards, he does have 3 bombards already out in the field. Now more farms being added here from Beasty. He's just throwing a couple of them down right now. Knights now trying to push out. Going on to the economy, trying to get as much value on those villagers as possible. But the bombards are actually a little bit exposed here. Actually going to be taken down here by the horsemen. Probably not too big of a concern for Beasty right now, though. Goodbye, bombards. Have been taken down. 1puppypaw doesn't have a lot of siege on the field right now. He needs to get some siege at some point here in order to take this back. The issue is that HRE have so many defensive upgrades that it's going to be really tough to destroy these buildings. BC also grabbed Court Architects at one point. Means that his buildings have bonus HP. And he's making a town center forward, so he's got the aura for the emergency repair. And yeah, he's just going to be able to probably repair all day long, looking at how much stone he has in the bank as well. Also, he's passively getting a lot of stone from these 4 relics that he has with Tithe Bonds.
Now, you know fully well that if this game goes very long, the person to drop the Wonder will be Beasty. In fact, I would dare to say that him having Tithe Bonds and getting that passive stone income is already a setup for that. Now, I doubt it's going to happen when he gets the 6,000 resources, because that would be a little too risky. But I feel like, especially knowing Beast's history in FFAs, and just generally the mindset that he has going into these late-game scenarios, I feel like he might already be thinking about, okay, could we be playing into a Wonder at this point?
Yeah, maybe, but I think before he's going to go for a Wonder, he's going to at least try a couple of times to do a death push into 1puppypaw's base. And I think now we do see a lot of rams being made here from Beasty. Couple more rams are in the queue. Looks like it's going to be the old-fashioned attempt of taking down 1puppypaw's base here. Villagers are getting pulled to take care of these rams, but rams can be quite tanky at this stage of the game.
They are.
Villagers taking quite a while to burn them down.
A lot of men-at-arms supporting these guys as well, but body blocks will prevent the rams from coming in. And there is boiling oil on the side of 1puppypaw here as well. Now, this is kind of a distraction only. Beasty managed to get a lot of villager picks to the south. Puppy's actually down to just 93 eco at this point. And as you said, Beasty is going to try and break through here. In fact, he finds a beautiful opening. Knights and men-at-arms just flooding the longbows here. Bombard Tower is also here to support, but the numbers are dropping here for 1puppypaw. And Beasty now just starts queuing up a bunch of men-at-arms, a bunch of knights. Counterattack now on the way for 1puppypaw. Berkshire Palace now on fire. Villagers will be pulled to repair again, but Lancer reinforcements in here. Men-at-arms also trying to finish off that palace. And it looks like the bombard emplacement is actually just a little too slow. Beasty with the ram push will get rid of the first landmark over here. Men-at-arms continuing to push as 1puppypaw is launching a counterattack with the horseman. That's actually the second landmark that has already been destroyed, and there is the King's Palace that's also exposed.
Yeah, and Beasty is just running in the economy right now. 1puppypaw trying to do the same thing, but one side has plenty of villagers to spare, the other side does not. And the army count right now, I mean, Beasty doesn't have a lot of army out there. I say that. He apparently has a lot of production because he just jumped from 30 military to 55 in less than a second. Yeah, he does have a lot of production. I mean, 1puppypaw, he also has a lot of crossbows in the queue, but crossbows don't help you get rid of these rams that are trying to take down all the farms in your base, and Beasty's just running past the army, trying to find villagers left, right, front, and center, and right now 1puppypaw is only on a single TC since the King's Palace is still destroyed, and yeah, I think this is gonna be it. 1puppypaw is actually adding additional TCs here. He's got 1, 2, 3 TCs right now, but it's just too little, too late. I mean, this isn't gonna work out for him. The Rams are taking down the economy, the structures, the production buildings and whatnot, and
it feels over.
It
really feels over. Puppy is down to 55 vills. Beasty just appears with the knights, the men-at-arms, and as you said, he ignores the army, in fact, in the front. All those longbows that have now been replaced by crossbows, they have been ignored. He just runs into the eco, wiped out a bunch of gold miners, devastated the farming eco, and 1puppypaw does have the TCs to try and recover, but now Beasty's bringing on the siege. This is gonna be an awfully difficult hold, despite the horsemen getting a good angle on those mangonels. Men-at-arms now shielding them. Beautiful volley coming in here, wiping out half of the villagers. Second volley ready to go here for Beasty. Staggered formation out there for 1puppypaw to try and battle that. But with the horsemen gone, mangonels still intact. Next volley wipes out the longbows. The Berkshire Palace still not a thing. And Beasty getting closer and closer to another victory over here. Looks like the crossbows might be able to hold off the men-at-arms, but the casualties are just mounting too high here for Puppy.
yeah, he still has a couple of crossbows in the queue, but it's just the eco damage that Beasty was able to do. The food income for 1puppypaw is in shambles right now, and he's not going to be able to sustain the production of all the units that he's just lost. Beasty, on the other hand side, though, is, and he's pumping out more knights, more men-at-arms, more mangonels, and 1puppypaw knows that this is not a game that he's going to be able to come back from. Beasty takes the set 2-0 against 1puppypaw.
This is just a classic Beasty game here. Built up that advantage, went into Imperial and just said, well, come at me, bro. He was sitting back, he built up the villager lead with the Palace of Schwabi, as you can see, and then just took all the resources from the map. If you look at it, it's not even this curve that describes this game best. It's the overall amounts of resources that have been gathered and how Beasty just turned that huge resource bank into one massive push. As you said, he kind of ignored the army on the front for the first time, just runs into the eco. And yeah, if you look at that curve for a brief moment, 1puppypaw still had 50-60 army left when he lost half.